no way is he made to look timid or afraid. In one of those debates where, I forget who it was, one of the other candidates did question, his courage, so to speak. And Pete just confidently said, I don't need lessons in courage from you or anyone else. This is a man that's been in the war in Afghanistan. I mean, imagine the moment when Donald Trump wants to talk tough about our troops, and Pete says, well, you've got somebody here who actually went to war and stood with his comrades, and somebody else who had daddy get him out because of bone spurs. And that will be a jarring moment for Donald Trump. Plus, again, I'll go back, and I always give my wife credit, who always says this, I really do want my president to be the smartest person in the room. I don't want him to be a buffoon who's never read a book. And when you hear Pete talk, and Pete won't have any trouble finding Ukraine on a map. The president couldn't find Ukraine if his life depended on it, on a map. So I just think his confidence, I think he's combat tested. And I think, Pete said something, and I don't know, there are a lot of members, and Neal, I apologize if this steps over the line, but I think Pete's alluded to it. He talked about it last night when he got the question about being gay. And he gave an answer last night to Chris Cuomo that I had 20-some years ago with one of my closest friends at a restaurant in Little Italy. We were talking at that time. He was a Baltimore County employee, and he couldn't come out at that time. It just still wasn't okay to come out. And his closest friends, like me, knew he was gay. And we talked about the whole ridiculous thing about whether it's a choice, whether it's not a choice. And he gave the same answer at that dinner. I was really struck by it when he said to me, Don, he said, if people knew when they said that, how often, he was a Catholic, how often I sat in the Catholic church as a young man and prayed to not be this way. He said, I thought, what's wrong? Why am I like this? And he said, it took me years to make peace with who I am. And Pete alluded to that last night, the times that he said, why do I have to be like this? This is hard. Until he got and made peace with that. And my sense as a straight guy is that's a journey. And again, I hesitate to go there, but I think that's a journey that helps you be very comfortable in who you are and allows you to stand next to a bully like Donald Trump and say, cut it down. I mean, that's just my take on it.
Yeah, and I'll be brief. I have an uncle that lives in Pennsylvania, which is obviously a really important state, looking at the electoral college map. And this uncle has never, ever voted for a Democrat ever in his life, ever. And I was talking to him on the phone. He called me recently, and I almost fell off my chair because he's like, look, I've never voted for a Democrat. I've always voted for Republican. But he's like, I can't understand why my Republican friends don't see the fact that the guy in the White House is a liar and is a con artist. And he's telling me, so I couldn't even believe it, because this is a guy that I never thought would ever even consider voting anything but Republican, just a guy that pulls the Republican no matter what. But he told me something. He said, but you know what I need? I need somebody that I can vote for on the other side. If I'm not going to vote Republicans, who can I vote for on the other side? And I think Mayor Pete, just the fact that he's from South Bend, the fact that he's a military veteran that served his country, which I think a lot of people respect, the fact that he's a Rhodes Scholar and he can speak 6, 7 languages, which is eight languages.
Eight.
Amazing. And we've had some really smart presidents. We've had Jimmy Carter, we had Bill Clinton, we had Barack Obama. We've had some really high IQ presidents. Mayor Pete might be the highest. I mean, the guy is really exceptionally smart, but he's also charismatic, and he's also very warm, and he's also really decent. And I think that people can see that. I think people that can sense that. I think people want to be able to vote for somebody, but I also think there's a lot of people in this country that are not prepared to go the extreme left, and they definitely don't want to go to the extreme right. So they're trying to find somebody they can agree with on most issues. Not all issues, but on most. And I think Mayor Pete's the person right now, despite being the young age of 38. That's amazing if you think about it. Here's a guy that was 38 years old. A year ago, nobody knew him. The simple fact that we're all standing around right now talking about Mayor Pete, that alone says a ton. And so I think that he has something that's intangible. I think he has something that I really believe in, and I think that he can surprise a lot of people if we all pull together. And we have to pull together not as just the anti-guy in the White House. We have to pull together as far as what's a common belief and what's something we all share. You know, because that's what people want to hear about. They want to hear about anti-this, anti-that. That's a great way to elect the person in the White House again. They want to hear about what we all believe in. You know, what are our issues? What are issues that people care about? And I think Mayor Pete can bring that argument, and I think he can be very successful because he knows the issues incredibly well. And I think that he makes the #1 contrast mostly because of his fundamental decency and his exceptional intelligence.
Other questions?
Thank
you all.
If you could speak some, just in your experience in county government, and I work in state government, I work with a lot of families that have children that are in need of special education services.